and welcome to another episode of the Complete Agent Podcast, where each week we get together to talk all things estate agency. My name is Dave Warburton. As ever, I am joined by my industry colleagues, friends, and all-round legends, Mr. Ian Story and James Kendall. Lads, how the hell has your week been? Let's go to you, JK, because you are alert and Ian is not.
Why don't we flip the script? Why don't we go to you, because you're never first.
Wow, what a privilege. What a privilege.
Actually, let's not go into it. In other aspects of life, you always go first, but
yes,
when it comes to the pod, you're always last.
I do share too much.
You do indeed.
Right, so yeah, good. I mean, it's just so busy at the moment, really, really busy. Offers are pretty strong. I'm looking at sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 offers.
You said that 4 weeks in a row.
I promise you, they're different houses.
If you're listening to this, it's this. Well, you won't be listening to it because I'll edit it out because it's a lie. You can't just lie each week, Dave, and say you've got 7 offers, mate.
I have actually lied. It's 8 offers, JK.
Ah, okay.
Go on.
It seems legit. So, we'll edit that bit in. 8 offers.
There are. I don't know what you're finding, lads. We'll come on to it, I'm sure. There are quite a few derisory offers that probably won't go anywhere, but it's still good to be getting them and giving good price feedback. But equally, some protracted negotiations taking a while to get done, but things are getting done. You know, some nice stuff going into the pipeline. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 12 houses in photography, so there's loads of instruction activity. And it couldn't have come at a worse time because it's half term next week and I'm going on holiday. And it looks like it's cracking the flags next week in England, and I'll be in Tenerife. So it's...
What do you mean, cracking the flags?
Cracking... Are you joking?
No.
That's that phrase. What would you say down south?
Cracking the flags?
Yeah.
What is this like a reform march or something?
Well,
it's hot. It's boiling hot here, mate. Boiling hot.
Oh yeah, sun's out, guns out.
The sun is cracking the flags. If any Southerners are listening to this podcast, can you just message in and tell us what you've heard?
Cracking the flags. It sounds like, me and Ian are off to our reform march, cracking the flags out, put them on the lampposts.
Could be something new in that. There could be a different interpretation of it.
Dave, Tommy Robinson, Warburton. Yeah.
The sun is shining basically, and it would be a great week for take-ons. So there'll be stuff happening while I'm not here in terms of photography and stuff. But it's but all good on the whole. Like I said, we'll come on to it, I'm sure. I am finding that the market has, there's a lot of talk. Certainly when I go and see other agents where properties have been sat, and I'm going seeing houses who perhaps just want a different approach and different chat about it, they are getting told that the market's dead, or getting told nothing at all. And what I'm finding is that is just not the case here. There is a difference between things not selling at all and no activity to what we're seeing right now. There is definitely activity. It's just very price sensitive. So a lot more negotiating going on. It's taking a bit longer. Lots of derisory offers. And I'll tell you what else I'm seeing as well. Lots of chances and renegotiations going on during the conveyancing process. A lot of people, they just think that the survey is gospel, and that because it says the windows are old, they think that you should put new windows in, or there's been some, water leak. There's been a bit of leak on the roof, so it must need a new roof. We've had one this morning, in fact, where one of our clients is trying to renegotiate £100,000 on a £790,000 list price. Sale price.
Terrace.
You are, sorry?
A 200 grand terrace.
Yeah. You imagine. It's just not going to go anywhere if he's being that strong. And the survey isn't that bad. They've had structural reports and all that sort of stuff, but they're just going for as much as they can get, and it's quite late in the day as well. So stuff like that happening. But overall, yeah, it's been pretty good, to be quite honest with you. And listings, as I say, are just phenomenal. They're really good, and ranging from sort of 500,000 up to 1.75 million. So some good stuff out there. Good stuff, good fees.
Can I just go back to cracking the flags quickly? Because I've just Googled it. And it says on Google, in the UK, cracking the flags is a Northern English and Scottish. I'm going to try and say this word, but I'm going to absolutely butcher it. Colloquialism.
Colloquialism. Colloquialism.
Tell me a common without tell me a common. Meaning the weather is extremely hot and sunny.
Yeah.
But do you know where the cracking the flags came from?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Go on.
It was my dad, Graham. He told me many years ago.
Putting the flags up on it. So it's actually not to do with actual like fabric flags. It's to do with, it suggests the heat is intense enough to physically crack the stone flagstones, paving slabs on the pavement.
What did you think it was?
Huh? The flags are hanging off the lampposts.
Well, I didn't know whether it was like right, lads, we'll get our flags outside the car now. It's hot.
It's not a flag.
Windows down.
It's not a flag.
That's where my mind went. That's why I said the Reform March.
It's not the World Cup.
Although it is soon.
Well, it is soon. We're talking about the flags on the floor cracking. Yeah. It's so hot. You're walking down the road.
We call them paving slabs down here.
That slab is cracked.
Cracking the slabs doesn't quite have the same effect.
This is the Complete Agent podcast where
this is a complete flag podcast.
Good God. Right, let's move on. How's your week been? Because you've just taken this on a stupid direction, I'm going to you, Ian's story.
People are here to be entertained, mate.
JK, go and have a word with yourself. Come on, let's move on.
I feel sorry for these Southerners, Dave, so let's move on. So, we're much the same as you, really, mate. You know, when you said we've had a few derisory offers, we have two, which we're just batting away on the whole. But in terms of listings and sales, great. I reviewed it before we came on, and we've had 10 listings in the last 2 weeks since we recorded a pod. 8 of those are gold dust, which is just brilliant, you know, between 500 and a million, and 2 above, one at 1.25, one at 1.5, and other stuff bubbling away. So a lovely amount of listings. As you know, we're like you. We don't want every house that's on the market. We want the right house on the right fees, which we're getting. Pipeline is amazing. So the pipeline is better than, it's as good as it's ever been since I started Story. So it's as good as it was during the COVID bubble. It's as good as it was at any point last year. Pipeline is brilliant of agreed sales. And then in the last week, 3 really good sales agreed, another couple of gold dust, and one at 1.2 million. Some really good exchanges as well that have happened recently. And we've had a couple of results. We've had a couple of people for the first time since I started Stories. I've had it in the past who have tried to not pay us for various reasons. And we've had to take things further, but they have now both paid us. So that's didn't really feel like a win, because I should never have had to go through the process. But that has now happened. So that's obviously good. And we're expanding as well this year. So we're going to open a new office in Knutsford, which is a natural sort of growth for us, really, because we've sold a couple in that area. It's 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes from our original base in Northwich. There's some great properties around there. So we're going to open an office there. So because of that, we've recruited a new valuer to come into the Tarpley office. I just agreed all that this morning before we came on the pod. So Vic, the lady's called Vic. She's going to come and join and be my sort of gold dust valuer. That's what I want. I want someone who can go and smash the gold dust, 500 to a million. So I'm quite excited about her joining, because I feel like she's got something that you can't necessarily teach, which is the hustle and the right kind of mentality. So she is joining the team, hopefully, in the next few weeks. And I'm going on holiday next week to Mallorca. You all right, Dev? Yeah.
And how about you, JK? Sounds fantastic, Ian.
Well, we're hoping this week we're going to be cracking the flags, and it's. But no, it's been to be fair, it's been a decent week. We've actually got 9 offers and 13 take-ons. You'll be surprised to know. No, just kidding. We have got quite a lot going on. To be fair, it's a price-sensitive market, as we've been saying for a little while now. And I had a really good conversation with a seller yesterday of a really high-end home that I actually put in and shared with our members in the group. And what I found interesting was the agent's strategy was, so check this out. So there's no social media gone on apart from what's been pushed by the seller. So they're now being pushed to put it on social media, which they've done a hash job of, which is basically, bish, bash, bosh, on it goes. They've asked to do some more stuff on social media. And the agent said to the seller, well, if you can just write us a script of what you want to go on social media, then we'll put something together. And the seller's gone, when I was speaking to her yesterday, she's gone, well, why am I doing that? Like, I'm paying you the best part of 50-odd thousand pounds to sell my house, and I'm coming up with a script to sell it on social media. To be honest, I picked the advert apart. It wasn't hard. It was literally so easy. And it just made me think to myself, what are you doing? Again, the fact that some of these agents their strategy is just put it on Rightmove, and they said they were going to go dual agency with one of the national London agents, shall we say, to try and tap into their international buyer network. So what I don't understand is that if you're tapping into that agent's international buying network, and I literally laid this on the plate for the seller and she agreed, why do they need to put it on Rightmove as well? Yeah,
they don't.
Exactly. So I said, well, look, if that's true, and that's what they're doing, while they see out the remainder of their 26-week contract, whatever it is, let them go dual agency, and they don't need to put it on Rightmove, 2 Rightmove listings. Because she said to me about, would I go dual agency? I said, there's no point. It's like you just need one agent and one listing. If they've got a buyer and they can introduce someone, great, we'll split the fee. But other than that, you need one good Rightmove listing. And there were so many different holes in this listing that I won't go on to here. But it's just, having been in the property myself, I was able to, I suppose, almost have a first-person view of what it actually should look like and what good should look like. And, part of it's probably going to be down to price, but you can't, again, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think you can sell a house at over 3 million with 20 photos effectively on Rightmove, a floor plan, and a single paragraph about the house. How can you tell anyone about a 10,000 square foot house with one paragraph? And half the details missing anyway. There's no context about how the house flows, about all the different sort of multitude of uses that it's got, all of the different opportunities, where it sits, how private it is. People that are buying manor houses at that sort of level, they want to know that it's private, it's exclusive, it's got this, it's got that. And you need to be able to sell it to every different angle, and it's just not being sold to its full potential. So we are picking up, and we're writing the on-market letter at the moment, but we've picked up a fair few from on-market letters recently. And I'm just finding that one of the big things for people at the moment is communication.
Yeah,
it's constant. It's always the way, isn't it? Because everyone's got Rightmove, and people are getting better on social media. There's some agents around me that are really sort of doing. I credit to them. I think they're doing well on social media. I don't think they're doing as good as us, but they're doing a decent job on social media. It's better than the average.
The same problems are here with people, with agents and communication and poor marketing that have always been here. And I think I did a live in our Facebook group, was it maybe last weekend, about this, about how you need to look at yourself, not your competition. People worry too much about what the competition are doing, but don't focus enough on their own consistency. We've got one that I went to that I lost to another agent, lower fee, back end of last year. She rang me this week. She's been on the market with him a month. She's had no viewings and no calls from the agent. And, that is going to be replicated across all this agent portfolio of properties. It just happens all the time, and it still happens. So just focus on your own consistency, your own quality of marketing, what you're doing, because you'll outshine on the whole, you'll outshine the competition. And it's in every area, isn't it? I bet you must have the same, Dave.
Yeah, I do. No, you're absolutely right. And it's the one thing I think when you go and see somebody who's been on the market anyway, in particular, they will refer to. They're not necessarily. I think they'll always be disappointed if they've not had any viewings. Of course they will. But they're more pissed off that they've not had any communication.
Yeah. And we all get the odd one that we put on, don't we, that doesn't have any viewings. Like, we're not, no one's perfect. It's impossible to be perfect when you're selling houses. But the consistency, there is no excuse for the consistency of communication. If you're consistent with them, if they've got, the more you need to over communicate, obviously the less viewings they've got, the more you need to communicate. And you will not lose them. On the whole, you will never lose someone to another agent if you are on the ball with consistency every week.
Well, we were talking before we came on. I've won one this week, and it's going to be 1.6 million most likely, around that kind of figure. And it's a great house, quite unique, the house. But I was one of 4 that she spoke to. I'm comfortably the highest fee, but she sees the value in what we do. And she actually said to me, and she's quite experienced, I don't want to be changing agents. I don't want to be going down the route of coming to one estate agent and then changing 3 or 4 months down the line. She actually said it's like property suicide, she called it, because you just look bad online and stuff like that. So I want to pick the person that I'm most comfortable with, respect the marketing and stuff like that. And it opened the door nicely for me to talk about the 3 things that we can control, which we've spoken about many, many times on this podcast. Which, of course, is the quality of the marketing, the exposure the marketing receives, and then the communication between buyer and seller. And there was quite a lot of emphasis at the start on valuation. And after the valuation, she followed up with me and she said, I just wanted to check, did you go back and look at the postcode? Because basically she's in a certain postcode, but she's right on the border of this other postcode, which is got a higher price per square foot and stuff like that. And the other agents that had gone in had not been as thorough, and the valuations were so much higher. And I just said to her, look, I'm confident that they are miles off. Not much changes, but ultimately it's your home, blah, blah, blah. And she came back to me and said, I agree. I think they're trying to tell me something that I want to hear, and I don't think it's achievable. And I'm not just going to pick the agent that tells me the highest value. And I think it comes down to that, really, being completely honest and making sure that you do keep in touch with them regularly, but also going right back to the valuation stage. If you do get it wrong, as long as you have those regular conversations, you won't lose. And it's how it's framed. I had another one yesterday, which was in the gold dust range. Oh, the value to me, the value looking at the market says 600 to 650. And another agent's gone in and said 700. And it transpired partway through the valuation. They said, well, he was only here 10 minutes. And I was at the valuation for 90 minutes, going through everything and showing them all the price per square foot. He didn't go through any of that. He just came in, looked around and said it's 700. I said, so, what's he backing it up with anyway? But I actually said to them in the appointment, we're spending too much time discussing this.
Yeah.
The valuation is the valuation. The market dictates the valuation, not me, not you. What we can control is, once we've got somebody, the quality of the negotiation and how much more we can get from that client. So, what is that initial offer and what do we eventually get you? That's where the skill is, really. But you can debate value all day. Bring 10, 15 different people into the room. You'll get 10, 15 different opinions. Let's focus on what the market dictation is, and then concentrate on how we're actually going to showcase your home and where we're going to expose it, and talk about all the stuff that you don't see behind the scenes that we put into this and the results that we get. So, but that follows on then to communication. And I say in every valuation, you should never need to change your agent. And if I'm seeing someone that's on the market with someone else, I always say to them, I shouldn't even be here. What is the reason that you've asked me to come out today? And, the first thing we'll look at is the quality of your marketing. And 99 times out of 100, we can make massive improvements on it. And what I would say to people is, if somebody then contacts you, can they honestly say that they can improve the photographs? Can they improve the video? Can they improve your social exposure? Can they improve your agent network? All that sort of stuff. You've got every box ticked, so it can only ever be one thing. We've just got to have honest conversations about it.
Yeah.
And also flip it onto their circumstances. The gentleman I was speaking to this morning who's selling with us with this 100 grand renegotiation, it's an absolute non-starter, and it's utterly ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. It's a tactic from the buyer to try and get something off near the end. There's no question about that. But what I did say to him was that there are some legitimate things on the survey that are likely to come up again. It's not $100,000 for sure, but if they do come up again, then we might be in a position where you are having to renegotiate. Or I can't guarantee that in 3 to 6 months' time you're going to get the same result that you've got now, because the market perhaps isn't as strong as when he made his offer. My view is we should probably try and do something, but it comes down to your circumstances. So let's talk about what you need to achieve now. If we had to do maybe 40,000, something like that, which is probably more reflective of the works that are required, does that change your life much? What are you trying to achieve here, Graham? We're looking at getting you into a new property in a new area. You've already got the ball rolling. We're a few weeks away from exchange. Are you going to be sitting in that property in 6 months' time, looking back, going, do you know what? I wish I'd held out for an extra 40,000. Or let's flip it. In 6 months' time, are you going to be sat on the sofa now, the sofa that you're on now in that same house, missed out on the property that you're moving to a different area on, going, I wish I'd taken that 40,000 reduction now. Only you can answer that, Graham, but just let me know, go away and think about it. So it's all communication, isn't it? Just keeping that consistency with it. And as long as all the stuff from day one is right, and you've been honest with your valuation, you've got documentation, by the way, as well. Like our proposals are very, very thorough, and you can go back to that. That's all it is. But
communication starts from the beginning when you tell people that it's not your valuation.
Absolutely.
Because they can't come back and say, well, your valuation was wrong. It's not my valuation. It's the market's valuation.
Market dictation.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
And that's you've got to set that relationship right from the outset, because then that's where I always used to go wrong there. Years back before we flipped the script, it used to be, I think the house is worth this when somebody else thinks it's worth something else. And as we all know, lads, valuation subjective.
Well, I think when we were less experienced, JK, we were talking about this the other day, and I thought about it, but it was about winning the instruction more than anything, above all else, wasn't it? And you might go out when we were doing lower end stuff. You'd be going in, you'd have your best price guide, not really paying much attention to too much data other than best price guide and other things that have sold in the area, and going out there and saying, well, that 3-bed semi sold for 300, that one sold for 350, and giving an opinion on it. And sometimes you'd be saying to the homeowner, like, so I think it's probably worth in the region of £300,000. And then the face might be like, as if to say, we're hoping for a bit more than that. Well, yeah, 300 might be like the baseline for it. But, we could try it at 350, and then they'd be like, yeah, that sounds more like what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And then, but now, it's so much different. I always maintain, I don't value houses. I always say that to people when I first meet them. Like, I'm not here to value your house. Don't see this as a valuation. I'm not here to do that. I'm going to show you all the data, show you what's going on in the market, in the market at the moment, what the conditions are like. What we'll do together is work out what we think is a realistic guide for your property, and then we'll talk about how we're going to go and get it. But it's not my market valuation. It's not my valuation. It's the market dictation. So don't worry about that. So I always go with that. I always start with that. It's just, don't see this as a valuation. I'm not here to tell you what your house is worth. I'm not buying it, and you're not buying it either, with all due respect. So it's worth what the market will pay. But so let's not waste too much time debating it.
The thing is, a lot of the people that you deal with at the mid to upper end are used to working with data as well. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you can articulate and show the data, for example, you can build a spreadsheet of the last 12 transactions or whatever it is on Land Registry for what's actually sold physically in that area and transacted, giving you an overall spread of what the minimum, average, and maximum someone's prepared to pay for a square foot. Looking at how many square feet their house is. Talking about adjusting it up or down. I went to one this week. I was one of 4 valuations. And interestingly, like the lowest fee was like 0.7% of a 850k place. And they come back to me. I mean, we quoted 2, and we've sort of built in a performance fee to get it, because it's one of the best villages. It's a barn conversion in one of the best villages locally. And they're discussing it as a family because there's a house that's been owned by the family for 41 years, and but it's in arguably one of the best villages in where I live, and I think there's from a commerciality point of view, having a board there, being seen to market it, but also the kind of person that's going to buy it is probably going to be downsizing. And Dave, you said something on I think the last pod that went out with Gatesy, the special, about the client that you went to go and see, and they'd been on the market with a previous agent that had the agent at like $1,000 marketing, they'd had the agent at 1% marketing, and then they came to you and they said, how their property would sit in the middle of what you were selling, so you'd have buyers from both sides, going back to how you look. And that was I actually kind of had that conversation with that seller there and said, the agent that's quoting that lower fee, just out of interest, like how many houses like this do they sell? And she said, well, looking at their website, it would be one of the more upper end ones. And I said, well, what does that tell you? They've got no marketing budget really to be able to handle this sort of sale. But also equally, they're probably not going to have the buyers. And it's the same when, we had somebody ring us up the other day, loves what we do, loves our social media, et cetera, et cetera. They've got a 2-bedroom flat to sell. And I've just said, look, our minimum fee is $8,000 plus that. We're not really geared up. I'm probably not going to have the buyers. And they said, look, to be honest, we kind of thought that. Really appreciate the honesty. But it's not going to be commercially viable for someone to sell a $200,000 flat with somebody that's charging $8,000 plus that. It's just, to me, it doesn't sit right. By all means, if they said, yeah, please, I really want to use you, then there's a conversation to be had. But equally, I don't think it's the best thing for the client.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, also for the brand, you don't want that in your brand, do you really?
No, we've got a few again. We're slowly easing a few of them out. But I mean, the point is, if you look at our website, you can't get past the first few pages, like before you get to. I mean, well, I think 3 or 4 pages in, we're still at £1 million.
Yeah.
Whereas, you go on other sites and we talk about it to people when it's, how do you look? If they come on your site and they're full of 2-bed terraces and they've got £1 million house, they're not going to call you. I think Si said it on the podcast, you could be sending a world-class letter out to somebody, but they're never going to respond once they've done their due diligence and they've found out that, how you look is sort of 2-bed terraces.
Sometimes I need to go through the website more than we do really to remove some of the old sold listings because we've got so many now over £1 million sold that it almost clogs it up a bit. So we've got our website designer Jenny to put a filter on now, so you can filter to remove the sold and only have a for sale showing.
Yeah,
because otherwise it can be a bit. If you've got a house at 850 that's really nice and you've got to scroll to page 5 to get below £1 million.
Yeah. I think the way I look at the website is I don't look at the website for people to find property. I look at it for people that are checking you out.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's nice to a bit of friction to go, for God's sake, I'm on page 8 and it's still 1.35 million.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But that, it's great brand positioning, and people say to you, is my house good enough for your brand? Would you sell my house? We get that a fair bit.
Yeah.
And it's a great position to be in because if you're, like you said, Dave, the people that are coming in at £1 million, or a long time ago, maybe 6-7 years ago, if somebody came in at £1 million, they would be at the top of the tree on our website, and they're almost sitting there thinking, well, I've got £1 million house, I'm kind of a big deal, and then it's trying to be on that same sort of playing field, if that makes sense. When you walk into the living room, when you know that the majority of your website is £300,000 and £500,000 houses, and you're almost looking up to the person that's got £1 million house to sell, regardless of your own personal situation. But then equally, when you walk in and you know that you've got stuff on your website that's sold at 3.5, 3, like 2.5, like whatever, they can see that, the £1 million. And it is weird, actually. I was thinking about this. I think I said to you guys before, the mindset, like of, an 800, 900 million pound house. Like every house to me, I treat with the same respect and excitement, and to get the marketing done. But I don't feel that, oh wow, it's £1 million house anymore, if you know what I mean. I just feel like it's just what we do now. It just becomes what we do, and my focus and excitement is on what result I'm going to get for the client and how we're going to market the house and how good it's going to look. And I think that comes across in the meetings when you go and see people and do sort of selling consultations or appraisals or whatever it is people are calling them these days, valuations. I think that energy really comes across.
One thing I wanted to mention was our upcoming mastermind in Manchester, which is actually only about 4 weeks, I think.
Just under 4 weeks.
Yeah, just under 4 weeks. So I know we've had some new members join, and we don't really sell ourselves much, do we? But we are looking, always for new members in the right areas. So postcode exclusivity, members who aren't going to be competing with any of our existing members. And the success of our member agents continues, doesn't it? With their fees and their listings, and how so many of them are transforming their businesses. And now that Michelle's part of the team as well, we've got great help there with coaching as well. So, if you're interested in joining, please get in touch with us and we can get you on that mastermind in less than 4 weeks.
Yeah. It's definitely it's a more rounded proposition, I would say, lads, as well. It's not just about direct mail and getting you into higher homes. It's everything we talk about. All the helping you get to a position where you can do this, and it's a journey. You don't just start overnight. It gets you. It's a journey that you've got to go on. There's people that join us that are quite a bit further advanced, and there are others that have literally started new brands, and it's possible from any position really. And I do think now is a better time than any before. I think that the structure that we've got and the sort of the portal that all the members can use now, and the updates that are going into that, and like you say, the coaching side of it as well on ongoing is so valuable. So if ever there was a good time to join and start on this journey, I think it's now.
Indeed. Well, that might be a good time to wrap it up.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.